Okay, Sunday, 13th of July 2025. So, Adrian's daily vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Study Sunday. Be more. My red pill moment, or really moments you could argue, and story time. There were two interesting key events I remember, wow, long ago, that were interesting in a sense of reality isn't what it appears to be. There's a mismatch, a glitch in the matrix, we could say nowadays. I remember distinctly in, wow, 2005 or 6, and then again in 2015 or 16, around that time, there was the same news article on BBC as in the TV report. And it was about a woman, an old woman, who lived on literally one side of the road, and she struggled to cross the road. So what she had to do was get a bus and go a bus stop down the road, cross the road there because it was easier, then catch another bus to go opposite direction. Then she could continue. And I remember there was a general hoorah about how bad this is, or injustice, or I don't know, something like that. It was newsworthy somehow for some reason 20 or so years ago and 10 years ago. And then I remember thinking first time in 2005 6, why is this news? This is interesting. Interesting, okay, whatever. And back then, the peak wokeism was ageism, and you can't say too many things like happy whatever birthday number because it's ageism. I remember that. And health and safety gone mad. So I thought, why is this news? What's this all about? Again, 2005 6. And then I thought for years and years, this is odd and weird, whatever. And the exact same article appeared, a news report, in 10 or so years later, which 10 years ago now, 2015 16, the exact same thing. Was it the same woman? No idea. Same place? No idea. Struggled to find the article back then. But okay, the exact same thing. Old woman couldn't cross the road, had to get a bus, a few stops down, then cross the road, get another bus, then continue on her life and whatever else, doing her stuff. Interesting. Okay. Now, the other red pill moment for me was interesting enough when Michael Jackson died. Late June 2009, I think 29th, 28th of June. Because at the time, see, I was watching a lot of BBC at the time, watching, in general. But a friend of mine, and I know exactly who, he said to me that, oh, Michael's already dead. And I thought, you're talking about, the news has not said that. Where are you getting this from? And he said, no, on Sky News it says different. I thought, what? You listen to something and someone other than the BBC? Just unfathomable. What is going on here? What? Why? How? Or what? It did not compute. So that little wedge of, say, reality changing how to do things, I started watching more Sky News, and then started over the years watching other sources. I can't remember really, ITV, and briefly one time in the early 2010s, a lot of Russia Today, things like that, different news sources. And even at one point, I remember thinking like a little boycott of Wikipedia because they had these big things saying donate to us now. So I thought, right, rather than donating, I'm just not going to use Wikipedia. So I just use other sources, try to piece it together elsewhere. And I remember one time also taking it to the logical extreme where I won't even use Google, I use Bing. I remember saying this to people on the bus, like in 2011, 12, avoiding Google to find different sources of information, and people thought that was a bit weird, evidently. And so it was that little wedge there that made me desire to look for more information out there, to see what else is out there. Not just look at one side of the world or reality, but look at other sides, other perspectives, other opinions, other ideas, other concepts, out of academic curiosity. What's over here? What's over there? Things like that. Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. This thirst for knowledge, really. There was no malicious intent, just sheer curiosity. More. What's this? What's that? How does, why, what? Really, it's like this, it's like looking at reality in black and white, then suddenly the spectrum of colour starts to fill the mind and able to see the world in full colour. Full 4K HD definition with regards to I can see more, I can understand more, I can see more of the world, see other points of views. Why? Academic curiosity. Why? How? When? Why? How? Things like that. And that led ultimately to where I am now, where nowadays I'm doing a lot of reading on all kinds of subjects, anthropology, science, psychology, you name it, all kinds of business and maths, all kinds of things, all the time, reading, studying, analyzing, and sharpening that view of the world from 4K full HD to 8K, 80K, and that black and white is turning into a sharp gradient, where it's the finest of blacks, the finest of greys over here, and every single tone and shade in between, to understand every aspect of reality. That's powerful. Academic curiosity. What's this? How? Why? When? How? What? How does that? Why won't? What if? How about? Why can't? When will? How should? Why won't? When will? Things like that. This endless curiosity. And really, you could point it back to that woman where it's thinking, what is going on here? And then again, 10 years later, and then hearing about how Michael had died, but from a source other than the BBC, thinking, what? Who doesn't listen to the BBC? What's that all about? Explain that. Powerful stuff. But otherwise, Adrian's Daily Vlog, sharing smart stuff men should know. Subscribe for more, and you will see me tomorrow.